Today I'm going to take you through some best practices for virtual meetings and give you some tips to making sure that they are a success. Hi, my name's Sarah Butler, or essbee. I'm a marketing and communications professional with over 20 years experience. If you like this sort of content, then please like and subscribe to my channel because your support really helps me and I really appreciate it. In today's global and digital world, virtual meetings have become essential. But meeting virtually does come with its own unique set of challenges. In fact, they can even be more awkward than face-to-face meetings. That's because there's lots of non-verbal cues that you can't see and are not able to pick up on. Things like eye contact, hand gestures, posture are all really important parts of communication. They help you express your ideas and keep the conversation moving and flowing. Meeting virtually also means you don't have those break times, which are the opportunity to connect and bond with people and share your ideas in an informal way. Yes, virtual meetings do have their ups and downs, but with good communication and these guidelines I'm going to take you through, you can make virtual meetings a success for every person involved. The first thing is to decide if you actually need your virtual meeting. You'll receive the undying love and respect from your team and your colleagues if you only call meetings that are absolutely necessary. It's amazing how many businesses will nitpick over expenses and cut every minute cost, but let unproductive meetings go ahead every day. It's so expensive and it's such a waste of organisations' money and resources. So don't let a meeting run without a clear agenda and a clear objective. Challenge existing conventions in your organisation around meetings. Have fewer of them and make them ruthlessly efficient. Please, please, please do not have update meetings or meetings just because they're regularly scheduled in your calendar. Make sure they meet some of the following criteria before deciding if you need to actually have a meeting. Have your virtual meeting if there's no better or cheaper way of doing things. Have your virtual meeting if you need other people to help you solve problems, implement things, or make decisions. Also have a virtual meeting if you need the commitment of others. Have your meeting if you need people to spark off each other, debate, generate ideas and brainstorm. Also have a virtual meeting if you need to communicate quickly and other forms or channels of communication are not appropriate. And have a meeting if you need to motivate people and generate some positive energy. However, skip the meeting if it meets some of this criteria. Skip the meeting if involving other people will just complicate things. Skip the meeting if it's a substitute for doing the actual real work and you're using it as a stalling tactic. Skip the meeting also if it's a power trip for you or the people involved. Skip the meeting also if it's just to rubber stamp a decision. Don't have a meeting if there's nothing specific to discuss or it's just for updates. And don't have a meeting if you don't want or need other people's input. Next, define the purpose of your meeting. Take the time to clarify why you're having the meeting in the first place. What's the meeting trying to accomplish? What problem or opportunity is it trying to solve? And how will it benefit the participants? By clearly stating the purpose of the meeting, you can make sure every participant brings their focus and appropriate level of attention, making the best use of everybody's time. Clearly state the objective or the purpose of the meeting at the start and what outcome you need to achieve to pinpoint everybody's focus on a common goal. Next, invite the right people. More is not merrier. Generally, any more than 12 participants makes a meeting inefficient, difficult to control, harder to gain everybody's attention, and of course it makes it go on longer. 4 to 7 people is an ideal number. If you can't limit numbers, consider holding subcommittees where people go away, sort out and agree on information and one person brings it back to the main meeting to report. Failing that, structure an agenda so that people only have to appear at certain points in the meeting when it's relevant to them. The 2/3 rule of thumb should apply. That is, a meeting should be relevant for 2/3 for any attendee. If it's less than that, then they shouldn't be there or they should only attend part of the meeting. Also, only invite people who meet some of this criteria. Invite people who must attend due to your organisational protocols. Invite people who can best contribute to the discussion or are affected by the outcome of the meeting. Invite people who you can count on to give you support or whose commitment you need. Have resources you need, such as budget, influence, or staff. Next, you need to make the preparations for your meeting, because the more prepared you are, the more successful it will be. Be really regimented about meeting documentation. Ensure all meetings have a set of essential meeting documents, an agenda at a minimum that clearly outlines objectives, as well as any supplementary information that people need to read up on prior. Save it in a shared drive, where after the meeting you might also add a recording of the meeting and any subsequent notes taken at the meeting for the benefit of those who can't attend. Remember, no agenda, no meeting, and stick to it. Next, decide on what platform you're going to use to host your virtual meeting. It can make a big difference to the success. It can be a little tricky to decide on the right platform that meets yours and the rest of the participants' needs. Also factor in that some organisations prefer to use some platforms over others, so make sure you address this issue really early on. A standard platform like Zoom is really good for doing things like using the whiteboard, taking polls, sharing screens. But if you have specific collaboration needs, like the need to store, organise and collaborate on project documents, you'll need a tool that's specifically designed for that, such as Teams. Make it your mission to become proficient on all of the major platforms. This is for maximum flexibility. At a minimum, equip yourself to be able to log in, to chat, mute, turn your camera on and off, react and share your screen with platforms like Zoom, WebEx, Teams, Google Hangouts and Skype. For everyone's convenience, ensure you put the link or instructions on how to join the meeting in the meeting invitation, the agenda, and anywhere else highly visible. When scheduling the meeting, inform the participants about the technology they'll be required to use. Also, do they need a webcam, what software is needed, and also encourage them to do updates well ahead of time. Depending on bandwidth, updates can take up to 10 minutes and can be the source of major delays to the start of a meeting if it's not updated prior. Next, assign roles to people for the meeting. You don't need to go full formal, probably with a chair, secretary, etc., but there are some key roles that will be really beneficial for you to identify and fill beforehand. This includes the leader. This is the person who establishes the ground rules, ensures everybody is given the opportunity to contribute, and keeps the meeting on track and moving in the right direction. Next is a note taker. The leader's usually too busy leading the meeting to be able to take notes as well. Allocate this role early on when the meeting preparations are underway rather than at the start of the meeting. Assigning someone the responsibility of monitoring the chat box for comments and questions is really beneficial. Periodically refer to them during the meeting to get the contributions that have been shared in that way. It's a great idea also for important meetings to have a tech person on hand. They can manage the meeting technology, explain to participants how to use the features, and troubleshoot any problems that might arise during the meeting. Next, forewarn the meeting participants of any guidelines that you have. Make sure everybody understands the ground rules and guidelines for the meetings. Set some ground rules like asking people to mute unless they're speaking and asking questions in the chat box or raising their hand. Importantly, if you want everyone to have their cameras on in the meeting, forewarn people of this in the meeting invitation so they have time to prepare themselves and their environment. Don't take them by surprise at the start of the meeting by demanding everybody turn their cameras on. Next, put everyone on an equal footing. In a hybrid world where some people may be in the office and some people are connecting remotely, it is a new good practice that everyone goes on an equal footing by deciding that even if one person is connecting virtually, then everybody should. In other words, even if you have someone in the same workplace, they should still connect separately in their office on Zoom or Teams so that everybody is in their own virtual box. This makes the people who are connecting remotely feel on an equal footing, rather than on the reserve team if they see everybody else together in a meeting room. Now I'm going to look at how you should present yourself in your virtual meeting. Firstly, use a high-definition webcam. If you don't have a separate high-definition webcam, use your computer's built-in camera, which is preferable to the camera on your phone for a professional impression. Don't turn your video on and off, and stay in place. Don't get up and walk around. If you do need to do this, turn the video off, but do it as infrequently as possible and for as short a time as possible. People interpret your camera off as you being unengaged and disinterested, and it doesn't create a favourable impression. Next, always look into the camera. Don't look off at a second screen or down at your lap at your phone. Look directly into the camera and give your undivided attention. Look directly into the camera and give the same non-verbal cues you would in a face-to-face meeting, like smiling and nodding to signal encouragement and engagement. Try sticking a pair of eyes or a post-it note to where the camera is on your computer. This will remind you to look directly into it. Position your camera to eye level, and if you're using a laptop, it's likely to be angled up to you slightly. If this is the case, just add some height to your computer by putting some books under it. Next, get a high-quality microphone. Built-in computer microphones are usually not that great, so invest in a high-quality mic or a headset. Minimize ambient noise, and in the selection of your mic, look for a noise-cancelling one that picks up on your voice only. Check your tech beforehand. Check your mic, your camera, and do those software updates and any other settings you can think of well ahead of time. If your bandwidth or audio quality have issues on the day, then dial in on a phone instead with an explanation to the participants about why you're doing so. But make sure you have a good signal or use a landline phone. Next, turn off your notifications on your computer and mute your phone. Noises from notifications are one of the most annoying and distracting obstacles to meetings, so don't be one of those people in your meeting. Next, try and mute typing noises. It's okay to type and make notes during your meeting, but when you do so, mute yourself or get a quiet keyboard. Loud typing noises are incredibly distracting and make participants think that you aren't engaged. Next, always remember, if you mute yourself, to unmute yourself when you go to speak. You want to avoid saying, "Sorry, I was on mute." Next, pause to communicate. In person, it's easy to find the correct time to start talking. Online, some of those cues can be lost in translation, leading to people interrupting each other or talking over each other. Sound delays can also lead to interruptions, so pay attention to the flow of the conversation and wait for slightly longer than you would normally before speaking up. The best and most basic way to enhance your appearance online in your virtual meeting is to bring a light source into the picture. Try and position yourself in front of a window, or if there isn't a window nearby, you can also use a light box to brighten up your setup. A light box is a simple device that you can place on top of your screen to give you a source of illumination. If you have the option to use natural light to brighten your image, do so, but you'll get a much more consistent and attractive glow throughout your video with a light box. For advice on how to touch up your appearance on Zoom, check out the video that I'll give you a link to at the end. Choose your background wisely. There are generally 4 main options you can go for. First one that I'm going to talk about is the best, but the others are good too. The best option is to use a prepared actual background, a setting that is neat and clean, bright and professional. Carefully scan and review your background for professionalism before the meeting. That means clean your bookshelves, remove boxes and trash, and declutter the area, and also ensure nothing personal is visible. If you decide to use a green screen with a virtual background, avoid obviously the goofier backgrounds such as outer space. You can choose to use a step and repeat type banner like they do at events as a backdrop for your meeting. Or you can use a plain, preferably monotone wall with or without windows. But real office settings are the best and most authentic background for your meeting. With more office space freed up with the advent of working from home, consider suggesting at your workplace some dedicated virtual meeting pods where people can set up for their virtual meetings. This keeps meetings private, makes it easy to plug in and play, free from distraction, and ensures the best technology is in use and provides a more professional looking backdrop to your virtual meetings. Check your head position. Be aware of where your head is on camera. Don't be that person whose chin or forehead is cut off. Aim for your head to be in the top third of your screen, or about 10 to 15% away from the top. Do this before your meeting so you're not making adjustments in front of all the other participants. And remain approximately 1.5 to 2 feet from the camera. Think news presenter on TV and adjust your distance accordingly. Next, make sure you dress the part. Make sure your clothes contrast well against the background. So that means avoiding green if you're using a green screen, and avoid black with dark backgrounds, or otherwise your head will appear to float. Prepare your look and dress as if you were in a face-to-face meeting. If you're not sure how to, always dress one level up. Your look is part of your brand. Clothes with busy patterns can look fuzzy on camera, and big patterns can be distracting, as can reflective accessories. Lean towards solid colours and dual tones. Next, wrap up the meeting. Now that the virtual meeting is over, make sure your team members know how to log out and disconnect properly to avoid inadvertent sharing. You can also use this time to collect feedback from the participants about the tools you use, the meeting format, what worked well, and suggestions for how things can be improved next time. Make note of any interruptions or distractions that arose, as well as technical issues. After all, virtual meetings make it easier than ever before for teams to collaborate from all over the world, but only if you've put the time and effort in to prepare for it. Virtual meetings have many benefits. They can increase collaboration, save money, but also come with their own unique set of challenges. Treat virtual meetings with the same care, thought, and gravity that you would for a face-to-face meeting. Do this by setting agendas, inviting the right people, and setting some basic ground rules. And remember, the same rules of conduct and professionalism apply no matter what the setting. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next week for my next video.